Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry for coming in late this morning. I've been trying to sort out an issue with my computer, but it's okay, we are fine now. And let's confirm that we are good to go this morning. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice, kindly type in hi in the comment section so that we can kickstart the live session, please. Thank you as you do so. So let me see. I would like to see some feedbacks in that regard. So let's get this sorted and then we can move on. All right. Okay, I can see Uni. Good morning. Thank you, Mesab. All right. Surprise IJ. Okay. All right. Okay. I would take this as a confirmation that we are good to go this morning. So welcome to yet another promising session on the Hex Trend Speed. My name is Sheriff Daramola, and as usual I will be your host for the next 1 hour, where we shall be evaluating the financial market using technical parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us today. I can see Carrie in the house. Yes, it's a happy Valentine's Day to everyone in the house. All right, so with that being said, we're starting on a love note this morning, so we shall be diving right into the chart. But before we go into the chart, I would like us to look at the economic calendar, as we have a couple of macroeconomic events that we want to be looking at for today. And remember, during the course of the live session yesterday, we talked about the expectations on the gross domestic product, that's for the Japanese yen, and things did not come out well for that figure. As we can see, the situation here, data actually came in at minus 1.0 against the consensus of 0.5, which is too low, and we have a negative variance of 0.2. And I think we really have not seen that reflection actually on the USDJPY, because the Japanese yen is still growing in that regard. We shall be looking at that in a moment. Then today we have the claimant count change, which has already happened this morning. And from the look of things here, we have the actual figure coming in at minus 12,900, which is against minus 3,200, which is not good figure for the pounds at that point. Then the unemployment rate has remained unchanged, and that was just as expected, which is 3.7%. Then again, later on today, we are going to be expecting the consumer price index, which will be affecting the US dollar. And the first one we have is the month-on-month. And with the consensus we have here, we have 0.4. So we're expecting that no much difference will be happening. So we shall be looking forward to see what will that bring during that hour. So this is coming up in 2 hours 30 minutes from now. Then we also have the consumer price index for year on year, which the consensus are projecting a little dip of 5.5%. So we shall also be looking forward to see what is going to be coming in. And most importantly, we are going to be reading the price action. We are going to be looking at how participants in this market are going to be anticipating this event, which will definitely be reflecting on the chart as price action. So with the information we have here right now, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is really going on in the market right now. So as usual, the first commodity we are going to be looking at this morning, or reviewing this morning, is the US oil. On the US oil, we have quite an interesting setup here on the US oil, which I would really want you to pay much attention to what is really going on at this point. So during the live session yesterday, we were anticipating a buy position, as we saw price action was initially caught within this channel, had the $79.50 level and the $79 area, as you can see here. And you know, from a technical standpoint, whenever we have such a channel like this, we are waiting for either a breakout or breakdown of the channel to give us a signal of where price will be going for the week. And in fact, we saw the breakout of the structure happen here. That was immediately after we ended the live session. We saw the breakout, saw retest of structure during the New York session yesterday. In fact, we had multiple retest of the $79.50 level with buying pressure to give us a good confirmation that price action will be going bullish. And in fact, we had a situation where price climbed up and moved to as far as the $80.75 level before we saw the selling pressure at this point. And for those who had been part of this opportunity here, well done to you guys for being on standby to catch that move, as you will currently be, you will have made about 130 pips thereabout on that one before the bearish momentum happened. And with the situation of things now, looking at what we have on the chart right now following the bearish momentum that we see, we can see that price action has appeared to have broken the bullish trend line here, as you can see here, and since then price action has been trading below that structure. But one thing we all want to take into consideration while planning to take advantage of another trading opportunity today is to realize that price is back within that zone where price action started the bullish momentum at the beginning of the week, and that is somewhere around the $79.50 level and the $79.10 area. So at this point, it's very appropriate that we remain very patient here, as there is a likelihood that buyers could still take over this market from this point of view to the upside, considering how that level has been a strong buying niche since the beginning of this week. So at this point, I would not want us to jump into any selling momentum right now, as we need to see price action do a breakdown of the $79 level. That will give us a bearish signal, that is price action has taken out all the buy position around the structure here, after which we shall be looking out for selling opportunities below the structure to join that decline to the downside. So if price action does this, this is what we want to be doing for today, selling right below that structure. However, if price action still climbs further to the upside, I'm still expecting that we will be looking out for buying opportunities above the $79.50 level. So these are my views here on the US oil. It's quite a simple setup here, so we just need to be very, very patient so that we can take advantage of that move when it finally happens. Before I close the US oil chart, I would want us to quickly have an holistic view of what is really going on the daily time frame, so that we can have a better perspective into what is going on here, and then line up the structures with what we have on the lower time frame. So on the daily time frame, looking at the structure we have here on the daily time frame, and one thing we observed from a long-term perspective is the fact that price has been very bearish. In fact, in the last 7 to 8 months, we have seen a situation where price had continued to find lower highs, and as a result of this, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here, which gave us this resultant bearish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. Now, if we zoom into the current structure here, one key structure, one key level we would not miss is the $80 level. And in fact, in the last 3 to 4 months, this level has been a major selling niche in this market. Look at what happened here in the month of November. We saw as soon as price got within the $80 level, we saw selling pressure resume from that structure. The same thing happened here during the first day of the month of December last year. Price action closed at the $80 level last year, and the new year began with another bearish engulfing candle taking us out of that structure to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. Now, a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, we saw our price action came back into the $80 level, where we saw selling pressure resume again from that structure. The same thing has happened here, and since the beginning of the week we saw that buyers are still finding it very difficult to break out of that level, and as a result of this we saw the sell pressure that resumed during the New York session yesterday bring a price back below the $80 level, and we might likely see a situation where price might continue to the downside, breaking down the $78 level the second time, and then probably push further to the downside or to the $73.50 level. So at this point in time we will not be thinking of buying the US oil unless price action breaks out of the $80 level to the upside for that matter. So now with that being said here, and looking at the structure we have on the daily time frame, it's looking more bearish at this point, so we should be getting ready to be on standby if we have a breakdown of that structure we identified on the 1 hour time frame. So going back to the 1 hour time frame here, I would like you to see the structure we are talking about here, which we identified at the beginning of the week. So this is where price action was between the $79.50 level, remember, and then we have the support level of that channel around the $79 level. So for me at this point in time, if I will be considering selling the US oil, I need a significant signal, and that will definitely come in the form of a breakdown of either the $79.10 level or the $79 area to give me that confirmation to sell. So let's look forward to this situation here, breakdown of the $79 level for selling opportunity, and if a further breakdown of the $78 level happens, we'll definitely want to be thinking of adding more position to our existing trade. But please note that if the buy pressure here continues, that is, if price continues to reject the $79.10 level, buy pressure above that structure, bringing price back above the $79.50 level, I'm still holding a bullish bias in that regard. So we might have a buy stop above the $79.50 level at this point to catch the bullish momentum if it so happens that price reject the $79 level one more time. So these are my views here on the US oil. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and I will be checking this comment section from time to time to see if there are any questions for me. All right. Okay, so what do we have in the comment section? All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here, so I will be moving on to the next option. So next option we are going to be looking at this morning is the US tech. And on the US tech, it has been a profitable trade for every one of us here, as price action has moved significantly well and just as expected on this commodity. Now looking at the structure we have here, so during the live session yesterday we were at this point where we saw a channel. We saw the resistance point. This is where price action started the week. It actually started on a bearish note as we saw rejection of the 12,320 level. Then we saw a resumption of buy pressure around the $12,230 level, and this level has been showing the traces of buy pressure since the later part of last week's trading session, as you can see here, and it appeared to have continued into the early hours of the new week. Now, what we said during the live session yesterday is that if price action breaks down, we want to be selling, and if price action breaks out of this channel, we want to be buying. And during the live session yesterday, I told you that I already had a buy position triggered, and for those who had missed out on that opportunity, I advise that you have your buy limit somewhere around the structure, so that if price action comes back to do a retest of that level, we want to be joining the rally from that point. And this is exactly what happened. We saw the breakout, we saw the retest of structure, giving us a beautiful opportunity to join the rally to the upside. And at this point we have a situation where price action is running with over 200 pips in profit at this point. So for everyone who has been part of this trade, well done to you guys. Kudos to you for being on standby to catch this move. And in that regard, what we shall be doing next right now is to move our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit. Then before I talk about where we're locking our profit, I told you something about the 12,400 level, where we said we shall be having our buy stop order sitting right above that structure to take advantage of a breakout of that level. And in fact, that was also an opportunity to add more position to the existing trade. And this current position here is running with about over 150 pips in profit. So we have over 300 pips in profit right now if you had this two position running at this current point. So moving on now, we want to be locking our profit. We want to be securing this current position so that we don't get caught up in any sudden pullback that might likely happen at this point. And to do that, I will be suggesting that we move our stop loss to somewhere right around the 12,450 level, just right below the support level of this channel we are in right now, to lock in some profit. So if you have done that right now, so let's zoom into what our expectations are for today. Well, before I go into the details of what our expectations are for today, let's quickly run through the daily time frame. Let's see if we are in line with what the structure is saying on the daily time frame. And for the sake of those who are not part of the live session yesterday, there's an opportunity for you to see why we have taken advantage of a bullish momentum. So this is what we saw here during the live session yesterday. Though we had a situation where price has been bearish throughout the course of last year's trading session, and as a result of that, we had a bearish trend line identified after connecting the series of lower highs. Well, at this point in time, this is not the most important structure right now, but what has been happening since the beginning of the year is what we laid our emphasis on, and this was the basis from which we were planning to trade the US tech for this week. And the first thing you observed here since the beginning of the year is that price action has been bullish. And as a result of this bullishness, we have been seeing breakouts of structures like the $11,700 level, breaking out of that bearish trend line also to give us a signal that the bearish trend line no longer have the capacity to continue to hold bearish momentum. Then we saw breakouts of structures like the $12,100 level. And in order to emphasize the strength of the buyers here, we connected a series of higher lows, which gave us this bullish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. So we have a bullish trend line which has been guiding bullish momentum since the beginning of the year, and despite the fact that we saw selling pressure around the 12,900, the multiple rejection of this bullish trend line here was a beautiful sign that we might likely be seeing the beginning of another wave of bullish momentum at this point. And remember, I told you about this channel here between the 12,800 and the 12,400, which was broken to the downside last week's trading session. And you know, from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of structure like this, we expect that there is a likelihood that price will come back, do a retest of that structure to incite another wave of bearish momentum. But it appears this is not going to be happening anytime soon, as we saw price action break out of the 12,400 with an engulfing bullish candle. And since the beginning of this morning, we have been seeing a situation where price action might likely transition into a trend continuation pattern that might likely take price to as far as either the 12,800 or the 12,900 level. So with the situation we have here, price action respecting the bullish trend line one more time, breaking above the 12,400, we will have no choice but to continue to look out for buying opportunities above the 12,400 level. So what it simply means is that if price action remains above the 12,400 level, we'll definitely be looking forward to adding more position. However, if it so happens the price drops below the 12,400 at any point in time, selling pressure below that structure in our lower time frame will definitely trigger a sell position. So at this point in time, what we want to be doing right now is to understand what has really been going on around this area since the beginning of today's trading session. We want to see how price action has been reacting to the 12,500 level to decide what our next line of action will be. So if we are going to be seeing a trend continuation pattern around this area, we will have no choice to place our buy stop right at the structure, looking forward to a breakout of the pattern to join the trend continuation to the upside. So with the information we have gathered here on the daily time frame, it's appropriate we scale back down into the 1 hour time frame, where we want to see how price action has been reacting to this structure we identified here on the daily time frame. So if we zoom into the current structure now and looking at what has been happening around this area during the later part of last week's trading session, we saw that following this bullish momentum here, we saw that as soon as price got into the 12,520 level here, we started seeing rejection of that level to emphasize some strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. And this actually led to a situation where price has been caught within the channel around the 12,470 level and the 12,520. And you know, from a technical standpoint, what we look out for whenever we have a flat channel like this to guide our trading activity is to look for either a breakout or breakdown of this channel. So if either price breaks out, we buy, or breakdown of the channel to give us a retracement of that impulse leg that we had there. And with the situation of things now, I already have my buy position triggered above the 12,520, and if you had been part of this trade, well done to you for being on standby to catch that move. So let's see how far this price action is going to go at this point. So with a buy stop order triggered at this level, remember our previous position right now has been secured, as we have our stop loss right now sitting somewhere around the 12,450 level, which falls right below this bullish trend line. So with a buy stop order triggered at this point, let's have our stop loss somewhere below the support level of this channel here, and from here on, let's see how far this breakout of structure will go. And if price action continue to move in our favor, you know we definitely want to be moving our stop loss to secure the position and at the same time guide our position against any sudden pullback that might likely happen at this point. So at this point, if you had been with us since yesterday, that is above the $12,320 level, you will definitely be having 3 positions running in profit right now. So we have the first position here, we had a second position above the 12,400, and then the third position around the 12,520 level. So let's see how far this one is going to go. And at the same time, this bullish momentum we are in right now, this bullish trend line that we have here, which has been guiding bullish momentum since the beginning of the year, will continue to be our guide for this bullish momentum. So I have this bullish trend line here extended further into the future. So we continue to remain comfortable in our buy position. Even if price drops back within this channel, we could still see some buy pressure coming around this area to incite that move back to the upside. So as long as price remain above this bullish trend line, we shall remain comfortable in this buy position. So that is my view here on the US tech. I hope you munch my screen so that you can use it as a reference point during the New York session. And if you do have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section as usual, and be rest assured that I will be willing to be of help. So with that being said, here I will be moving on to the next pair. So I will be checking the comment section from time to time to see if there are any inquiries. Okay, so the next pair we shall be looking at this morning is the USDJPY, and in fact on the USDJPY we had hold on a second, I'm trying to load up my chart here. Okay. it's taking much time. Please hold on, let me I'm still finding it difficult to load this up. I think it's from give me a moment, please. Let me sort this out. So I think we are back on right now. While okay, it's still loading. Just give me a moment. This will be sorted out. Okay, I think things are better now. All right, so sorry for the breaking transmission. So we shall be going on to talk about the USDJPY going forward. So we load up the USDJPY, and what do we have here? What was our expectation during the live session yesterday? All right, so during the live session yesterday, we acknowledged the fact that we have been on the bullish momentum since last week, as we saw the breakout of the 131.00 level during the final day of last week's trading session, and that was following the consumer sentiment index data. And then we saw our price broke out of the resistant level of this channel that we identified throughout the course of last week's trading session. So we had the resistant point of the channel here at the 131.650, and at the beginning of this week we saw how price action started on a bullish note, breaking out of the 131.650 level, and price action had continued to find higher highs. And we were actually part of this move as price action moved. Since last week, we've had about 190 pips movement in price action before we started seeing this retracement phase, which for me at this point looks more like a retracement of that impulse leg. Now, with the situation we have here on the 1 hour time frame, I am of the opinion that price action is likely going to be inciting another wave of bullish momentum at this point. And the reason why that is this, I will be showing you something on the 4 hours time frame so that we can see things more clearly here. So if we look at the 4 hours time frame here, and we have a key structure around the 131.800, which I shared on my public platform. And let's relabel this. So 131.800. So following the breakout of the 131.800 here at the beginning of this week, from a technical standpoint, whenever we have the breakout of structure like this, we expect that at one point in time, price action will come back to do a retest of that structure. And if a retest happens followed by buying pressure from that level, we'll definitely want to be joining the trend continuation to the upside. And if we scale down to a much lower time frame, I think I identified something here on the 15 minutes time frame, which I shared actually. And this is what we saw on the 15 minutes time frame. And we saw the 131.800 level, which I showed you earlier, where price action retested. And this was the level where it was broken during the course of the trading session yesterday. Price action came back to do a retest of that structure. So we had multiple rejection of that level, showing us traces of buying pressure around that area. And at the same time, transitioning into a reversal pattern. And whenever we have a reversal pattern like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify a neckline of that reversal pattern, which shall be the basis for our buying opportunity. And in fact, we have a neckline sitting around the 132.00 level, where a breakout of that structure will be confirming that this reversal pattern is now mature. And what we seen here in the last hour, we saw the breakout of the 132.00 level, which triggered a buy position at this point. And if you had missed out on this opportunity, well, let's be patient at this point and see if price action will be doing a retest of the structure in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So for those who have been part of this one, well done to you for being on standby to catch this. And if you had missed out on this, I've told you, let's remain patient. We have a tendency that price might come back, do a retest of that structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. Now, to make things a little bit easier for us to be able to identify trading opportunities during the New York session today, remember we're on the 15 minutes time frame. So what I'll be doing now is to bring out my line chart, connect the series of higher lows here to give us a bearish trend line, a bullish trend line, which we shall be using to guide trading activity. So we shall be using this be identifying the connection of this bullish trend line. So we have something like this to guide our trading activity for today. And look at what has been happening here since the early hours of today. We can see our price action has consistently respected that bullish trend line. So if we do have price action come back to do a retest of the 132.00 level, a level which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line, we'll definitely be looking forward to adding more position at that point. However, if price action does not drop to the downside to retest the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum, then we shall be looking forward to another opportunity at the 132.300. Now, how do we take advantage of that? If we look into the past here and look at what has been happening since the early hours of yesterday's trading session, we have a structure around the 132.300 level, which you would notice has been a key determinant of price action in the last 24 hours, and that's the 132.300 level. So I will be labeling this area for the sake of clarity. So we have the 132.300 level here, and look at how this level also has been a major niche. It was initially a selling zone before the breakout of that structure happened. It was a buy zone here, breakdown happened here, and we are right at that current structure at this point. So if we see price action transition into a trend continuation pattern around here, breaking out of the 132.00 level, with buying pressure above that structure, we'll definitely be looking forward to adding more position at that level. So what I'm simply saying here is, if price does not drop to the downside here to incite another wave of bullish momentum, then we shall be looking up here for an opportunity to join at the breakout of the 132.300 level. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section of this video. So I will be moving on to the next pair right now. So the next pair we shall be looking at this morning is the USDCHF, which was introduced to us by Steamroller yesterday. And what was our expectation yesterday on the USDCHF? So I will first of all like to zoom into the 4 hours time frame, where we identified a couple of structures. And remember, I told you that right above the 0.9 to 150 level seems more appropriate to be holding by pressure. And we said that after connecting the series of higher lows here, we had this bullish trend line. So we said if price action continue to trade above that structure, we shall be looking forward to adding more position to our buy position. And one thing I said here to caveat all I've said about this current structure was that if price action breaks down to 0.9 to 150 level, then we shall be looking out for selling opportunity. And this is exactly what happened here during the New York session yesterday. We saw the breakdown of the 0.9 to 150 level, which led to the breakdown of that bullish trend line here, and price action moved about how many pips was that from the structure? Moved about 50 pips in our direction before this bullish momentum started here. Now that we have the situation we have here right now, how do we intend to trade the USDCHF for this week, for today rather? So with the situation we have here and looking at the current structure we have on the 4 hours time frame, you would notice how the 0.91600 level has been a strong buying niche. We saw how this level was a buy pressure during the later part of last week trading session. We saw buy pressure from this level, and it appears that when price got into the structure during the early hours of today, we saw another buy pressure here, and you can see the nature of this current candle now. It's looking very, very bullish at this point. So what I'll be advising us to do right now is to identify the structure, and we shall be laying much emphasis on this current structure right now, which is the 0.91600 level. So let's give this on the bottom. All right, so this is what we shall be using to guide trading activity for today. So price action above the structure will be giving us an opportunity to remain comfortable in our buy position. So now going back to the 1 hour time frame, so I want to be buying above the 0.91600 level right now. So if you had missed this opportunity of buying this at this point, then we shall remain patient here to look out for another way to join this rally to the upside. So what are the things we shall be looking forward to here? So we already have a demand zone here right now at the 0.91600 level. So I would advise that we remain patient here to see price action break above the 0.9 to 150 level. That is, if you had missed this opportunity here, we should be having a buy stop right above the 0.9 to 150 level, which also falls above the bullish trend line that has been guiding bullish momentum since the beginning of this month. So what we are simply looking forward to right now is this price breaking above the structure, and if it so happens that we continue to see buy pressure above this level, we will look out for more opportunities to add more position to our existing trade. Then we also have the 0.9300 level sitting here, where we plan to add more position if price action breaks out of that level. And we also have the 0.93700 level here, looking out for opportunities to add more position to our existing trade if price action does a further breakout of that level. So I remain bullish here as long as price remains above the 0.91600, but if it so happens that price action breaks down the 0.91600 level, we shall be looking out for selling opportunities below this level had the appearance of selling pressure on our lower time frame. So I hope this is clear enough. If you have questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. So I will be moving into the last pair for today, which is the XAUUSD. And on the XAUUSD, let's look at what we identified here yesterday. So during the live session yesterday, this is what we saw here. As we saw at the beginning of the week started on a bearish note as price action started around the 1,865 level here, and then we saw a support level at the $1,857.50 level. So we had a flat channel at the beginning of the week, and one thing we were looking forward to, whenever we have a flat channel like this, what we want to be seeing is a breakdown of that structure or a breakout of the level to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. And in fact, we saw the breakdown of the structure during the New York session yesterday, which triggered a sell position, and price action moved about 650, 670 pips in our favor before this bullish momentum started taking us out of the sell position that we are in. And right now price action is back into that channel where it started the week. As you remember, this is where price action started this week. Right now we have a situation where price is back into that structure. And to make things a little bit interesting here, we saw that price has been rejecting the 1,865 level. If you look at the nature of the week here, you would notice that there is a tendency of selling pressure around that area. And in addition to this current structure here is this wedge, this pennant we identified yesterday. After connecting the series of lower highs and the series of higher lows here, we had this pennant. We saw the breakdown of the pennant. Price action has come to do a retest of the support line of that pennant, and I'm of the opinion that if selling pressure continues here, we might likely be seeing another wave of bearish momentum. And remember the importance of the 1,860 level, which we identified during the live session yesterday, where we said if price action trades below the 1,860 level, we shall be looking forward to selling opportunities at that point. So in order to make you see how important the 1,860 level is, and for those who are not part of the live session yesterday, I will be scaling up into the daily time frame so that we can see things from an holistic point of view, and then come back into the 1 hour time frame to make a decision for today. So this is the daily time frame here, and the first thing we observed on the daily time frame was that price action has been bullish in the last 3 to 4 months. And as a result of this, we have this bullish trend line figured out here after connecting the series of higher lows. Now, since last week's trading session, we saw a situation where price has been caught within a consolidation phase just right above the 1,860 level here. Remember that key level I showed you on the 1 hour time frame, which I said I want you to see the importance of this level on the higher time frame. Now, this level was at one point in time a supply zone for a while, for a short time, before the breakout of the structure happened during the first week of the month of January. We saw price action drop back into that structure to do a retest, and you know that at this point we are at a critical point where there is a likelihood that price could incite a bullish momentum here, respecting that bullish trend line one more time from this current structure. And there is a possibility that price could drop to the downside, breaking down, retesting that bullish trend line as well. And one interesting thing about this is that the bullish trend line also shares a beautiful confluence with the 1,860 level. And one thing I said yesterday is that if it so happens that price action breaks down to 1,860, I will be joining a decline to the downside. And if you look at the nature of yesterday's candle here, you saw that price closed right below the 1,860 level to give us the possibility that sellers have the strength to close below that level. So what we shall be looking at right now is to scale back down into the 1 hour time frame to see how participants in this market has been reacting to the 1,860 level since the early hours of today. Let's see if we can have a structure that we can use to guide trading activity for this week. So scaling back down into the 1 hour time frame, this is what we were able to see on the 1 hour time frame. And like I showed you earlier, we had a flat channel. Price action broke down the flat channel yesterday to signal a possible bearish momentum, which broke down the 1,860. Price action appeared to have come to retest the structure here, and in the last 5 hours we have been witnessing selling pressure, as we can see that price sellers are negating all attempt by the buyers to break out of the resistance point here. So I have a sell stop orders triggered right below the 1,860 here, and I will continue to hold on to my bearish momentum as long as price remain below the 1,860 level. Now, for those who are not yet in this trade right now, and to make things easy for us to be able to trade this pair during the New York session today, I identified this bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows here, which gave us that trend line. So if you are not in now, well, the breakdown of the bullish trend line could give us a good confirmation that sellers are beginning to be strong at this point. And if a further breakdown of the 1,857 level happens, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. Now, talking about buying the XAUUSD at this point, if we are going to be considering the buy pressure we noticed here yesterday, well, I will be saying that considering the sell pressure, the rejection of the 1,865 level in the last 5 hours, I am of the opinion that sellers are still very strong in this market, and we might likely see a breakdown of the bullish trend line anytime soon. But if we are going to be buying the XAUUSD, I want to see a situation where the 1,865 level is broken to the upside. That is, price action takes out all the sell positions here to give us more liquidity for buy momentum, and the appearance of buy pressure above this level will be welcoming additional position to our existing trade here. But I doubt if this happens, but if it does happen, we should be open to the possibility that the breakout of that level too can also happen. So on the XAUUSD, I remain bearish here, but if price breaks out of the 1,865, we should definitely be getting ready to buy the XAUUSD. So that is that for today on the live session today. I'm sorry for the breaking transmission. It was due to network issues, but I'm glad that we were able to resolve it before the end of the session. And before I drop the curtain here, let's do a quick recap of what we talked about today, and for the sake of those who are not part of the beginning of the session, so you can be on the same page with us. So the first commodity we looked at this morning is the US oil. And what we saw on the US oil yesterday was quite interesting, as we were able to make some profit here before the sell momentum began. We were able to make over 160 pips as price action moved considerable well before the sell pressure resumed here during the New York session yesterday. And one thing we agreed upon for in anticipation of the New York session today is that we want to remain patient on the US oil as price action has come back into that channel where it started the week. Remember, this is where the week started here. We have price action back into that zone, and there is a likelihood that this zone again can reject all selling attempts here to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So in that regard, we have our stop order right above the $79.50 level to take advantage of a bullish momentum at that point. But if it so happens that price action breaks down to $79 level, remember the support level for this week, we are already going to be selling if the breakdown of that level happens. where a retest of structure with selling pressure below this level will welcome additional position to our existing trade. And if a further breakdown of the $78 level happens, we would be adding more position to our existing trade. Then we went on to talk about the US tech here, where we have been profitable since the beginning of the week. Remember, we took advantage of the breakout retest of the 12,320 level, and since then price action has been finding higher highs. We had a position at the breakout of the 12,400, after which we saw this consolidation phase between the 12,520 and the 12,470 level, and we said a breakout of the 12,520 will also give us an opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. And for those who have been part of this trading journey since yesterday, I have told you that we are moving our stop loss to secure this current position, and we were able to identify somewhere right around the 12,450 level as an area that is okay for us to move our stop loss at this particular point in time. So let's see how price action plays out during the New York session today. And at the same time, I told you how this bullish trend line will also be our yardstick for trading activity on this one. So as long as price remain above that bullish trend line, we shall be comfortable in our current buy position. However, if it so happens that price action breaks down the trend line, which also shares a confluence with the support level of this channel at any point in time, we might be getting ready to join a sell momentum at the site of selling pressure below the structure on our lower time frame. So that is that on the US tech. If you have questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section before the end of the session, okay? Then we went on to talk about the USDJPY, where I showed you something on the 15 minutes time frame. I had a simple setup identified on the 15 minutes time frame, and this is what we saw here. We saw a reversal pattern. We identified a neckline area. We saw the breakout of the neckline at the 132.00 level, and price action has been finding higher highs. So right now price is at a structure around the 132.300 level, and I told you that for those who had missed out on this opportunity here, let's remain patient to see price action come back to do a retest of that structure. It could be the retest of the 132.00 level, or the retest of this bullish trend line here, which we identified after connecting this series of higher lows. So if that happens, we look out for buy pressure around this area, then we could join the trend continuation to the upside. Now, if price action does not go that far, but instead it drops into somewhere around the 132.150, it's very possible that price drops to that level. That is because we do have a structure around here too as well. What we just want to be looking forward to is buy pressure. It could be a reversal pattern, it could be a double bottom structure, it could be a head and shoulder pattern, then we could join the rally to the upside. But if price does not drop to the downside there, instead it transitions into a breakout of the 132.300 level, then we will definitely be joining the trend continuation from that point. So let's keep this in mind while we monitor price action. Then we went on to talk about the gold, where I told you how I will be looking forward to setting opportunities below the 1,860, and I told you that I have a sell position triggered right below the 1,860, and I told you how much I'm leading on a bearish momentum here, and a further confirmation will come if price action breaks down the bullish trend line with selling pressure below the structure, and a further breakdown of the 1,857 will be welcoming additional position to our existing trade. Now, I told you how if price action breaks out of the 1,865 to the upside, if a breakout of that level happens, it means price action have taken out all the sell position here, giving some liquidity to buyers to push price to the upside. So we want to be taking advantage of that if price action takes us out of this current sell position. So let's also keep this in mind as we monitor price action. Then we went on to close the day with the USDCHF, which Steamroller introduced to us. I'm not sure if Steamroller is in the house. We had a sell position on the USDCHF yesterday, which gave us about 50 pips. As you can see, price action broke down the 0.2 0.92150 level yesterday, and we saw a situation where when price got into 0.91600, we begin to see buy pressure resume from that level. And when we looked at things from the 4 hours time frame, we saw how the 0.91600 had been a buying niche at one point in time. And in fact, since we are in a bullish momentum since last week trading session, after considering this bullish momentum here and seeing the 0.91600 level holding by pressure, I am of the opinion that we might be in for another wave of bullish momentum. And I said, for those who had missed out on the opportunity here, let's remain patient and wait out for the breakout retest of the 0.92150 level for an opportunity to join the trend continuation to the upside. And I told you that this current structure has a tendency of multiple entries, as we have structures like the 0.9300 level, where we will be looking forward to adding more position at the breakout of that structure. And we also have the 0.93700 level, which is the key level we identified on the daily time frame. If price action breaks out of that level, we'll definitely be thinking of adding more position to our existing trade. So these are my views so far here. So we were able to treat the USOil, US Tech, USDJPY, XAUUSD, and the USDCHF. So we were able to treat 5 major pairs for today. So I wish you best of luck as we continue to monitor price action. I hope you munch my screen so that you can use them as a reference point when you're about to make your individual decision on all of these instruments. Thank you for being around, and once again, I'm sorry for the internet itch, which has been resolved, but I hope we have a better experience tomorrow. So best of luck during the New York session today, and I wish you a wonderful evening. And I also look forward to seeing you same time tomorrow. Remember, it's 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here to review what we have been monitoring so far, and at the same time get ready for the New York session tomorrow. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.